Good morning. My name's Dave. I'm from Morris Nursery. This year, because of the pandemic, we can't have our rose class, so we thought we'd do a short video on pruning roses, and then we'll do some other videos that you may check our website for. This is the best time of the year to do the heavy pruning on the roses. So, first of all, tools needed. You need a pair of hand clippers, shears. Loppers. I like the long-handled loppers because it's easier to reach down in without getting your hands involved. You may need a saw. A hand saw like this for some heavy branches. So, and the last thing, but not the least, is a pair of gloves. I like these rose gloves with the long gauntlets because they protect my forearms from when I reach down in from getting torn up. So this happens to be a hybrid tea rose, and Floribundas, hybrid teas, and grandifloras, we can all prune about the same. If your roses are very tall, you may want to just take them back about to 30 inches or so in order to be able to make it easier to work. We'll get started. This one is not that tall. So one thing we want to do is get rid of some crossing branches to start with. And things that just are not, we don't need. Where we have two branches that are doing the same, covering the same area, we're going to get rid of that. We typically will try to cut above a bud or node that points outward so that our new growth also will go outward and not go through the middle and cross over each other. So we're going to get rid of some of this. If we have extremely old roses, there's situations where you're going to want to prune harder. If you have wood that looks like this, and you can see it's developing bark on it, you'll want to get rid of one of the canes, which is a branch, perhaps a year, that look like that, to encourage new. I go pretty fast because I've done a lot of these. And then we get rid of little tiny stuff because those are not going to produce good flowers. When we get down to the bottom here, we see that there's an old cane here that just does not have the great look anymore. It's getting kind of rough and older. So we're going to get rid of it. Heavier one here, so I can get the right angle. Sometimes the hard trick is getting the right angle to cut. So let's get rid of this one. We don't need that or this. And we want to go down to about anywhere from 5 to 7 canes, spread out equally around. Should be radiate out. This rose is ready to go. You can even leave that, although we should take off the old leaves, but because they could have disease involved. Okay, that's one example. We've got another one here. First thing to do is just stand and look at it and see what you've got. So I've got this in the middle. It's too much. Got some more down here. first thing really to do when you start this is look at what you want to keep, what you want to leave. because if you get in and you start cutting and you say, oops, I should have left that one, there's nothing there, and that was the strongest, best looking cane there, and you cut it off, well, it's not the worst thing in the world, but it takes time for that rose to grow that back. So this is how I typically want a floribunda to look when I'm done. A young one. But if you multiply this by 2 or 3, you can see that's what I'd like an older one to look like. Mine floribundas are about, when I'm done, about 3 feet around and 18 to 24 inches tall. That, I find that's a very good height. Going down to 12 inches or so on an established plant, it's not the best thing. It takes it longer to recover. Leaving it too long has increased flowers, but they will be smaller, and especially if you want them for cutting to put in the vase for bringing in, you probably want to cut them back a little harder. Now, this is a climbing rose. It's called Sally Holmes, and so we're not going to take it back quite as hard. We want to leave some of this longer stuff, but we'll take back the tips. But we want to clean it out a little bit anyway. And take out some of the small stuff that's really not going to do anything for us. And leave 2 or 3 long branches to form the structure of our tree, of our climbing rose. So things, again, crossing back through, we don't need all that, but so that's about what we'll end up with climbing rose, a young one. So we've got a good structure to start with, branching out like so. And last is clean up the leaves around your plant. Clean off the old leaves. On the climber, like this, where you're leaving a lot of foliage, not so necessary, but clean up the old leaves. That's where fungal spores and also insect eggs, things can live. So clean up around your plants. Thank you. That's it for today.